You are now listening to the Legends Lingo podcast, presented by CouchGuySports.com. Here are your hosts, Al.
You didn't ask him about that long?
I was getting there, Beetle.
What the fuck kind of host are you? I mean, you're
Beetle,
burying the
holy
lead.
Shit, dude. Someone
Chris
give her
is-
a chip, please.
Powder,
Yes, sir.
and Matty D.
And on top of that, now you have a triple effect. You have the Niners looking for a long-term answer with Jimmy G in-house. Maybe they don't want to spend the money on Jimmy G. Maybe he gets freed up because they go after a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who now theoretically could be freed up. So there's a lot of dominoes to fall.
Enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Legends Lingo podcast, episode 116, presented by Couch Guy Sports. As always, check out everything on CouchGuySports.com. The blogs, the podcast, the YouTube channel, the Twitch channel, and everything else in between. Go check us out. I'm your host, Al Nahegan. Alongside me, I got Tom Powder Cadmus and Matty D, Matty DeRozier. Guys, what is up?
Nothing, just chilling. Actually, MLB The Show comes out this week. And for those of you who know, I love MLB The Show. It's my favorite video game, so I'm very excited for that.
Gotta love MLB The Show. I actually got to get that because Jared Scally and I have been talking about doing a little matchup on Twitch, which will happen at a later date. But stay tuned for that. It's going to be fun. Matty D, what's going on, buddy?
You know, not a whole lot. Very exciting times here in the sports world. There's a lot of sports going on. We were talking in the group chat. I'm actually glad we got together to record because there's just, nothing to talk about.
Yeah, no, nothing at all. We're just gonna call it here. See you next week. But
Yeah.
See you guys. Bye, guys. So episode 116, jam-packed. A lot has happened this week. The Bruins made a big trade. A beloved Patriot is no more in the NFL. And we're going to talk about the Red Sox because they're off to a crazy start. So let's just kick it off right away. We're going to start with the Bruins because we don't really talk Bruins a lot on this podcast. Matty D, I think you said you're a casual hockey fan like us, right?
Yeah. I'll check it out when it gets more and more, a little bit more juicy. So right now, given the state of the season, I'm not as much invested as I am the other sports, but I'm following.
Yeah, you're like us. You're a casual fan. You can call it like it is.
Yeah.
Three casual hockey fans talking about hockey. That's totally normal.
Three dudes talking hockey.
There you go. Talking about sticks and pucks. So the Bruins, they got a sticky puck guy that's supposed to be really good. So the NHL trade deadline came and went. Bruins made a few moves. The big move that we have to talk about, Taylor Hall, as in 2017-2018 Hart Trophy winner, League MVP winner, Taylor Hall. First overall pick in the 2010 NHL draft, Taylor Hall, right before Tyler Seguin, keep in mind, is heading to the Boston Bruins. And in that deal is also another guy, Curtis Lazar, who's going to be like a fourth liner, which we don't really need to talk about. But in exchange, Anders Bjork gone. A second round pick, I believe, is gone. And guys, really quick, I just want to say this. Don Sweeney just literally fleeced the Buffalo Sabres. Like, poor Zach Jezziero, man. Fellow Couch Guy sports writer and podcaster. He's a Sabres guy. And let me tell you something. The Boston Bruins fleeced the Buffalo Sabres in this deal. Taylor Hall is a guy. He's still young enough where he can make a difference. He can add to the top six in scoring. He's going to be on the second line. He's going to be playing with, I think they said David Krejci and Craig Smith. So, you know what? I'm excited about this move. Taylor Hall is actually playing tonight. So as we're recording on Tuesday, April 13th, the Bruins are playing against the Buffalo Sabres, and it is 1-1 in the first period as we're recording. But Taylor Hall excites me because this is a name that a lot of people know. Like, even if you don't follow hockey, Powder, did you know the name Taylor Hall?
Yeah, so one of my best friends, he's been a huge Edmonton Oilers fan for I don't know how long, ever since they got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Taylor Hall. So I've kind of known about Taylor Hall through him for a while.
Right. So you know the name. And
Yeah.
Matty D, I'm assuming you knew the name Taylor Hall.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we all know the name Taylor Hall. So this is a move that Don Sweeney's making. Now, granted, it's a little funny because Taylor Hall chased the money on a one-year deal. It was a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Sabres. So he's like, okay, I'll play with Jack Eichel for a year and then try to get a big contract year the next year. But obviously in Buffalo, it wasn't working out because they're just the worst team in hockey by far, even though they are like 4-0-2 or 4-2-1 the last 7. But anyways, Taylor Hall is coming. I think he's going to be a big help. I think he's a name that people can get excited about. So I'm a big fan of the move. I'll go to Powder first, then I'll go to Matty D. Powder, thoughts on Taylor Hall becoming a Boston Bruin?
Just like you said, he's gonna add scoring. He's been a scorer his whole career. Has a Hart Trophy under his belt. Just a guy who's gonna help increase the second line scoring, because from everything I've seen with the Bruins, that's one thing they've been lacking, is a guy who can go out and just score for them and really help the secondary scoring. So I think it's a good move.
Matty D?
You know, a lot of the rumblings going around the Bruins was they were going to stay pat because they didn't know exactly where they wanted to attack and improve. But I'm excited that they made a move like this. And like you said, Al, on paper, it feels like they got one over on Buffalo. But I am a little nervous just because sometimes when things feel too good to be true, they are. And, you know, Taylor Hall comes with some off the ice issues and some baggage that they'll have to deal with. But overall, the guy's a tremendous talent. And it seems like they got the player that they were looking to bring in. And, you know, Taylor Hall has been linked to the Bruins, I feel like, for 100 years.
Yeah.
So it seems like it was finally the two met and they'll play with, you know, alongside. And I think I'm excited about it because he's a good player.
He is. And that's what he is. He's a good player. And the thing that I like about Taylor Hall is he's come out and said, I want to be a Boston Bruin. You know, that's the team that I was hoping I get traded to. I want to be in Boston for a few years. Like, that's big. You don't get many players that say, I want to come to Boston. I want to stay here. So that's
Right.
Huge for the Bruins.
Yeah.
And another move, and we can talk about this really briefly. The Bruins also traded with the Ottawa Senators. They traded away a third-round pick for defenseman Mike Riley. Basically, the MO on this guy is he's a guy that will get you assists. He's a guy that can help you on the power play. He's a guy that can help create plays on the offensive end of the ice for a defenseman, so that's good. I don't know if you guys really have any thoughts on it, but I think he's a guy that's going to help on maybe the second or third line for defensemen. I could be very wrong on that. But again, it's a depth piece, and I think it's going to help. And Curtis Lazar, same thing. He's going to be on the fourth line. So those are two guys that are just going to help for depth pieces. So I don't know if you guys had any insight on that.
Well, Mike Riley's a great hockey name if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
But I just think it's always a good thing when the higher ups show the players that they're in it, that they're all in this to win, and that they matter. So, you know, whether it be a big move or the littler moves, I think it's good that, you know, they're basically telling the team, you know, gear up. We're going for it.
Powder?
Yeah, no, I agree, especially with moves just to add depth, just saying, hey, we want to add these small little pieces because we think we're right there if we're given a chance to win. So I think giving those small little additions like a Mike Riley, I think that's a perfect addition to help bolster the depth of the Bruins.
So the Bruins this year, I think, are going to be interesting. And we talked on Couch Guy Sports Podcast about this with fellow Couch Guy sports writer Kaylee Allard. And she basically came out and said, and I agreed with her on this, I think the Bruins make it to the second round of the playoffs, and then I think they're kind of done. You know, Toronto's look good this year, unless the Bruins play Toronto, of course, but we'll see what happens with that. Just because the Bruins own Toronto in the playoffs. That's just how it is. But, you know, I don't know how far this team's going to go. I think their era to kind of win a cup is closing. Like that window is closing very rapidly. So if you're going to do something, you got to do it this year or next year. I think plain and simple. Tuukka Rask is 34 years old. He's on the last year of his deal. So that's going to look like it could be a situation where they're going to move on from him unless he decides to retire or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but it looks like it's going to be going in a different direction in goal. So I think there's a lot of change coming with the Bruins, but I think it's going to be fun to sort of watch how they react once the NHL playoffs start. So a little sticky puck talk from the guys at Legends Lingo. That doesn't happen often, but when we do, we get into it. Another thing that we need to get into, a sad thing we need to get into, longtime Patriot, Julian Edelman, wide receiver, officially announced his retirement on Monday, April 12th. It was right around dinner time, around 5-6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the events that transpired here, guys, I mean, kind of crazy. I think it was Ian Rappaport that came out and said that the Patriots were terminating Edelman's contract because he failed a physical. Obviously, it had to do with that knee that was bothering him for pretty much 2 years now. It was bothering him. He only played in 6 games in 2020. And the writing was kind of on the wall. Like, you knew that Edelman was going to be probably retiring. You knew that the knee wasn't going to hold up. You knew that it was probably going to force him to retire a little sooner than he wanted to. But, man, am I going to miss Julian Edelman. Foxborough forever. And I'm sure you guys saw. Did you guys get a chance to see the video that he posted?
Oh yeah.
Absolute chills.
Mm.
Chills to the bone. Like sitting there in Gillette with all the highlights play, getting beamed out, which I don't understand why they did that at the end, but whatever. Classic Julian Edelman. Being taken up. Maybe it was Brady saying, "Hey, come play with the Bucks," but I don't think that's the case. But Julian Edelman, an all-time Patriot, 3-time Super Bowl champion, no doubt a Patriots Hall of Famer. He's going to be in the Patriots Hall of Fame. He's going to get that red jacket. But, it's going to lead to the conversation. We don't have to have it tonight because we have some time to obviously talk about this. I would like to have a conversation one night. Is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer? Just real quick off the top, do you guys think he makes the NFL Hall of Fame, yes or no?
No.
Okay, so we're all in agreement. Okay, so we don't even need to have that. So we're all in agreement. He's not making the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But he'll make the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But obviously, it stinks to see Minitron, the squirrel, whatever you wanted to call him, Jules, whatever. He's gone. It's going to be a new era. I mean, it was a new era after Brady left, but it's going to be an even newer era with Edelman out of the picture now. And this is a hot take, and I don't care how bad this sounds. I was more upset about Julian Edelman retiring than Tom Brady leaving New England.
Ooh.
But hear me out, Matty. Hear me out first. Tom Brady leaving, you kind of saw the writing on the wall. Yeah. He wasn't getting along with the organization, with Belichick the last year or two. You knew a change was coming, and you were hoping that Brady was going to stay, but you knew that if Brady had an opportunity to flee, he was going to do it. He took pay cuts for years, yada, yada, yada. Julian Edelman embodies what it takes to be a New England Patriot. Tough, gritty, nose to the grindstone, showed up with his lunch pail every day, worked hard, went from being a seventh round draft pick to a 3-time Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So it's tough to see him go just because of how much he was loved by everybody in the city of Boston and in the region of New England. So, it was tough to hold back the tears yesterday. That's all I'm going to say about Julian Edelman. But go to Matty, then we'll go to Powder. Just thoughts about Julian Edelman's retirement.
I'll say one thing right off the bat. It's going to be a lot harder to get my wife to watch Patriots games without Julian Edelman suiting up. So that's for sure. Not only a fan favorite, but he was a lady's favorite for obvious reasons.
Yep, heard that too. Oh, yeah.
But the guy, like you said, you nailed it out. The guy was he was everything you wanted in a football player, tough as hell, made every bit of his career. He drained everything out of his skill set to get a good career. And he's going to finish with, 6,800 yards, 36 touchdowns, 3 Super Bowl championships, and memorable moments. I mean, in comparison, Wes Welker had 3,000 more receiving yards, almost 15 more touchdowns career-wise. But he dropped that ball in the Super Bowl. Whereas Edelman, he made that fantastic catch against the Falcons. He was tough as nails whenever they needed him. That touchdown, that little out route that he ran against the Seahawks was one of my favorite routes of all time, and just plays in general. So it's going to be sad to see him go. I'm glad that he's kind of going out on his own note here. He's not being forced to suit up somewhere else or hobble through a season. He kind of, endured a crappy season that the Patriots had last year, and he's going to go out on top, not on top of necessarily, but kind of on his own note, which is great for a play like that.
Powder?
Yeah, I agree with everything you both said. My mom made a good comparison, kind of compare him to Dustin Pedroia, who just wore his body out on the field, and another Boston legend. And like I said to her, Edelman loved being hit. He loved contact. He, when he was mic'd up in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, you heard him say to, I forget who it was, hit me harder. You can hit me harder. He wanted that. He always wanted to show everybody he was the toughest guy on the field. And it showed every game he played that he just wanted to do everything in his power to win and to be the best he could be. And he definitely showed everybody in Patriots Nation that he loved being here, and that I'm glad he's leaving a Patriot. Matty just said, he's leaving on his own, and we don't have to watch him in another uniform like Tom Brady.
And that's the thing too, and that's why I kind of said what I said earlier. It's like Brady, if Brady had retired and was retired just a Patriot, he would be the most beloved Patriot of all time. And he probably is still in about 95% of Patriots fans' eyes. but to someone like me, who wants to see, guys sort of stick with their team forever. I know that doesn't happen very often in sports, but Julian Edelman did it. He spent 11 years here as a Patriot and didn't want to be anywhere else. He said, you know what? My body's giving up on me. I want to be a Patriot forever, Foxborough forever. So I'm gonna retire a Patriot. Thanked, Robert Kraft, thanked Bill Belichick and everybody else. And that's when I come to terms with it and sort of say, that's why I love Julian Edelman, because he just every single day he brought it. Like Powder said, he wanted to get hit. He loved the contact, and that is a pure football player. Real quick, favorite Julian Edelman moment. I don't know if we all have the same one.
Okay. You go first, Powder, because I got to think about this real quick.
Two come to mind just right off the bat. One, obviously, the Atlanta Falcons catch, but the other one is a touchdown pass against the Ravens in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good one, too. I think that was the 2014 divisional, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That was incredible. The double pass, Josh McDaniels being like, hey, I don't have to tell you what's coming, right? He's like, nope. And then he just comes out and executes it. Oh, that's a great one. I agree with that. Matty, you got yours?
Yes, I do. It's actually another play from the Seahawks Super Bowl when he came over the middle and got absolutely demolished.
The 3rd and 14.
Yeah, and he just popped right up and scurried down the field. It was like a zombie. He just kept it moving, and I just think that it's a perfect embodiment of how he played. It just didn't matter what he was feeling, how he was doing it. He was just going to get it done.
He was going to get it done. I agree with that. I'm going to go with 2 as well. I'm going to go with the Falcons Super Bowl 51 catch, because that thing was about, and he said it on, I think it was a pizza review with Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports. That thing was 80% luck and 20% skill. Yeah. Like that the fact that he was able to get his hands underneath the football to secure the catch, like that's going to go down in Super Bowl history. But you know what? I'm also going to go with the Super Bowl 53 performance. I mean, he was Super Bowl MVP for a reason. Mm-hmm. He literally shredded the Rams defense by himself, found all the openings in the zone, found the openings everywhere, and was Brady's favorite target in that Super Bowl. You don't win without Julian Edelman's performance in that game, period. Plain and simple. So shout out to Julian Edelman. Thank you, number 11, for all the memories. Your career was one hell of a story. It was one hell of a story. You know what else is one hell of a story? How good A&B Burgers is. And I got our guy Powder that's going to tell you just about how good A&B Burgers is. So Powder, go ahead.
Yeah, so as we found out last week, we have a new sponsor starting this month, and hopefully soon we have an incentive for our fans to go and get it. But right now, A&B or Legends Lingo podcast is sponsored by A&B Burgers. And A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston has just reopened and is located on Causeway Street right across from the TD Garden. And they are the newest spot to meet up before or after games and have dinner and drinks, offering an elevated take on a traditional New England pub with freshly made in-house dishes like chicken pot pie, meatloaf made with organically raised beef from Naaman Ranch, local sausage, and locally caught fish and chips. Draft beers from area breweries like Gentle Brewery in Beverly and Lord Hobo and Notch pair perfectly as well. Looking for patio dining? A&B Kitchen has a raised patio with spectacular views of the garden and of the Zakin Bridge. With newly installed heaters, you can enjoy the outdoor seating for an extended season. Also, with 32 feet of open garage doors along Causeway Street, 8 and 16 feet along Beverly Street, you are able to sit inside but have the benefits of an open-air dining experience. Don't have tickets but want to watch the game? They have 9 newly installed 70-inch TVs, so there's no bad seat in the house. They are open Monday through Sunday at 3 p.m., but there's a day game at the Garden. They will open at 11 a.m., so you can get in before the game.
Oof. A&B Burgers. Powder and I have had it before. Matty D, we got to get you down there and get you a burger, because those burgers are good, man.
Yeah.
Those burgers are delicious. So A&B Burgers, go check them out, whether in the Beverly location or the location near the TD Garden. Go check it out. Shout out to A&B Burgers for being a sponsor of our podcast. So thank you to all the good folks at A&B Burgers. Final sort of big topic for the night, and I get the feeling we're going to be talking about this for a little bit. The Boston Red Sox. Wow, how the tables have turned. I can't even believe it. So this time last week, I think when we recorded, they were 1-3, and they were playing the Rays.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sounds
like
about right.
1-0 against the Rays while we recorded.
Right. As we record tonight on Tuesday, April 13th, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Boston Red Sox are 7-3. They went 6-0 this past week. They didn't lose a game.
Nope.
They swept the Tampa Bay Rays. They go into Baltimore, 3-game series. They sweep the Orioles. And then today, today, actually. Today, as we were recording, see, the not playing on Monday messed me up. As the Red Sox play their first game against the Twins, they beat the Minnesota Twins 4-2. So they're on a 7-game winning streak. They're playing a doubleheader on Wednesday. Nathan Eovaldi and Eduardo Rodriguez are expected to get the ball in both games of the doubleheader. Guys, before we get into like drooling all over the Red Sox, I asked this on Into the Triangle, so I'll ask you guys this. Who is one guy that you've been impressed with in this stretch? And then who's one guy you'd like to see do maybe a little bit better? So we'll go with the guy first that's been impressive. And I'll go first, and I won't take a couple of the obvious answers, but I'll take one that's been really good. I'm going with Nathan Eovaldi. The guy has been lights out. He pitched well in the Baltimore game when they lost. He pitched well in the Tampa Bay game, shutting down the Rays lineup. He's been a guy that has proven that he can be a guy that can be a number 2 or number 3 starter in a good rotation. So I'm a big fan of what Eovaldi's been doing. So whoever has the next one can step up.
Matty, you want to go?
Of course. I'll step right up. And I'm going to actually go, as a guy who used to play the position growing up, I'm going to stick with the catcher of the Boston Red Sox. That's Christian Vasquez. The guy has been dynamite, batting over 340. He's got a couple bombs, including one very, very clutch home run against the Rays. And that win, those are the type of wins that you look back on a season. You're like, we had to have those. And, he's been a huge catalyst for that. So I'm very impressed, and I hope it keeps going for Christian Vasquez.
Patrick?
To stay away from the obvious choices, I'll go Verdugo. He's just been hitting consistently throughout this run. He's been a good defender we've had. Just having him in that 2-hole is really good for the Red Sox. I think he's a great 2-hole hitter for them.
It's funny. On Into the Triangle last week, I actually had Verdugo as my guy I wanted to see do better because at the time, he was only hitting like 208.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing anything impressive. I think the last stretch of games, like 3 or 4 games, he's sort of gone back to the 2020 Verdugo that we were like, okay, there's something to this guy when we got him in the Mookie Betts trade. So I'm a fan of that. Now, one guy that we'd like to see kind of make some improvements. Now, I know it's kind of tough to pick a guy because now it seems like everybody's stepping up, which is great. But one guy I might like to see do a little bit better, and this is sort of like, fishing for straws now.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to go with a guy, Philip Valdez. I saw him the other day against Baltimore. He didn't look great. The stuff looked off. His control looked off. Against that Baltimore lineup, he didn't look comfortable on the mound. So he's a guy that, especially in the bullpen, you need to be able to have a strong bullpen. So, and Valdez is a key part of that. So need Philip Valdez to step up, plain and simple.
Go ahead, Potter.
I'll go real quick. And the guy who I think should get a little better, I know he hasn't had a ton of playing time. He's only played in 5 games this year, but Hunter Renfroe, he hit a home run today. But kind of the games he's played, he's only hitting 158 with that 1 home run. So hopefully he can pick it up and start getting hot now that he finally got his first home run today.
Good pick.
The guy that I'd like to see step up is Adam Ottavino. Matt Barnes has been electric. And if Ottavino can get, get going here. Now you're talking about a real formidable 1-2 punch at the end of the bullpen.
Yeah.
His ERA is huge right now in a limited sample size. I'll admit that, but 3 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched is not great. He also has walked 3 and only struck out 4. Not ratios you like to see out of a guy like Adam Ottavino. So if he gets going, I think the bullpen will be pretty strong for them.
The bullpen was obviously, everything was wrong with the 2020 Red Sox last year, but that was one concern that I think a lot of fans had, was that bullpen was just atrocious. It was puke-worthy. Like, you literally saw whoever was coming out, and you gagged a little bit because you knew that it was probably going to be 3-4 runs let up in an inning, and then the game was going to be over at that point. But now it's like, okay, you have some guys. Darwinson Hernandez was a nice little addition. Phillips Valdez, who normally is good, normally is a good addition. Ottavino, great trade from the Yankees. Matt Barnes, you can trust in a setup role and occasionally the closer role. Sawamura's been doing his job. Yeah. So now all of a sudden you have options in that bullpen. And looking ahead to the pitching matchups for the remaining of the Twin series. So Eovaldi's going in the day cap of the doubleheader against Kenta Maeda. Eduardo Rodriguez is going in the nightcap against Jose Barrios. And then on Thursday, Garrett Richards is going against Michael Pineda. So when I see the pitching matchups, I like Eovaldi over Maeda, honestly. I really do. Rodriguez and Barrios, I don't know. That's a toss-up for me a little bit. Maybe slight advantage to Barrios in this case. And then Richards and Pineda, I'm calling that one a wash. Because I don't know, because both guys are kind of meh. Not really. So when you guys hear those pitching matchups, and you obviously realize Red Sox won the first game, so in the series they're up 1-0. What in this Twin series, like what record would give you guys the indication that this team is legit? This team is a good baseball team right now.
I'm going to say I'm going to take the conservative route here, and I think if they just take one more game of the 3, I'll be happy. And it's because those pitching matchups. Facing Barrios on the nightcap of a doubleheader is not what you want. And then who knows with Garrett Richards, and the Twins have a good lineup. They could pound Richards, and it wouldn't really matter what Pineda does. So I think if they can get one of the games tomorrow, given that their best 2 pitchers are going, I think it would be a good series for them to take it. A kind of a weird series because they had the first game canceled kind of last minute. So if they can come out and get 2 of the 4, I'd say it was a good series, and it'll be on to Chicago.
Okay, so 2-2. No, that's respectable. I'll give you that. Totally fair. Powder?
Yeah, I agree with Matty. At least getting one of the 2 games of doubleheader, but I think they could beat Maeda if Richards is decent. Like, obviously what we've seen from him isn't great, but hopefully he can be decent. Maeda was top 3. I can't remember if he was runner-up or if he was 3rd last year in Cy Young, so he's going to be good in the game 1, but who knows? The Red Sox are hitting out of their minds, so I think they might be able to win at least one of those games tomorrow, because at the MLB level it's so hard to sweep a doubleheader. So hopefully the Red Sox can get 1.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking a split tomorrow is fine, and then I think you can win the game on Thursday.
Yeah.
If you win 3 out of 4, then you go into a 4-game series. Your next 10 games are at home. You have a 4-game series against Chicago, and you have a 2-game series. I think it's against the Blue Jays, and then 4 against the Mariners.
You are correct.
So in that span, right? In that span right there is absolutely no reason at all why, at worst, you shouldn't go 6-4. I think in the homestand, you can split with the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
You can split with the Jays, and you take 3 out of 4 from the Mariners, because the Mariners are not good. The Mariners they're another low end team, I think, in the American League and in just baseball. They're not that good.
Yeah.
Period. But the one thing I'll say too is this, and this is sort of the last topic we'll talk about with the Red Sox, and then we'll get out of here for the night. Alex Cora is like part of the reason why this team is where it is. I mean, Alex Cora is a great manager, and he came out tonight and said, the players are having fun again. They're realizing baseball is fun. So this is something that there was no fun last year. The most fun was opening day last year when the Red Sox kicked the crap out of the Orioles. That was the only fun moment there was all season. That was it. I mean, really though, that was the only moment that was fun. Otherwise, it wasn't fun.
They blew it all the first day.
Yeah.
That's it. They got it all out of their system the first day. They're like, okay, we got these fans happy. Now they get 59 games of absolute pain and misery. But, Alex Cora is recognizing this team is fun to watch. Because let's face it, how many games last year were we rushing home to get to our TVs and actually watch the game? Not many.
The first game and then the second game because of the first game. Then after that, no.
Correct. So 2 games out of 60. That's less than 5% of the games right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Matty, you proved the point, and that's a perfect point. They were not excited. They were not an exciting team to watch last year. Now you have personalities. JD Martinez is back. Rafael Devers is back. Obviously, Alex Cora being there as the manager makes them back. They get guys like Kike Hernandez that has some personality. They have a guy like Franchi Cordero that has some personality. The pitching staff's better. Everything is better about this team this year. Now, do I still think they're, at best a playoff team? Yes. But still, it's better to watch now than it's been the past couple of seasons. And I'll throw 2019 in there too, because 2019 was kind of a down year too.
Yeah.
That's definitely fair.
So that's just my thing. I am having fun watching this team again. And it happened right in time because the Patriots stunk. The Bruins were on a little bit of a downside. Now they're starting to win some games, and the Celtics are starting to win some games now too. And we won't touch Celtics this week, maybe next week. But the Red Sox are fun. And it's great in the city of Boston when the Red Sox are fun.
Yeah.
Because it gives us something to look forward to every night. Any other Red Sox thoughts before, the thoughts about Alex Cora's comment, or just anything else you guys want to bring up?
I'm kind of going off of what Alex Cora said. The guys on Section 10, I think, said either this week or last week. Like, the differences is last year, the players, like, especially the hitters, kind of like the pitching's not good. Like, they knew they were going to be down, like, 3 or 4 runs early. So the hitters hated playing in that with that pitching last year, and some players just knew they weren't good. So it's like they didn't care as much. This year they care. They know they're good. They know they have a chance to surprise a lot of people. So like Cora said, and like you just said, Al, it's fun to watch. Like the players are into it and they want to win as many games as possible. So like they just want to have so much fun playing the games.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, I just think the turnaround between the first 3 games and what we've seen since, it just shows like the tenacity of these guys and the importance of Alex Cora being back. Yeah. It would have been so easy for them to mail it in or at least just start moping, which would, that's the downward slope to an awful season, even 3 games in, because everyone locally, nationally, didn't matter. They were all writing them off already after just 3 games. And so the fact that they rallied right after that and they've won 7 straight and they've absolutely kicked the crap out of some of these teams too in these 7 wins, I think just says a lot about that team and just a lot about how they approach the game and what we can expect as fans.
But there's some good games like today. They got down 2-0 in the first inning and they won 4-2. Like they didn't let up a run the rest of the game. I remember I was doing work and I had, because of stupid MLB blackouts, but I had the game cast on and I was like 2-0, great. They're down 2-0 already. This is going to be a long game. Here it goes. Like, here goes a win streak. And then I just kept watching. I'm like, wow, now it's tied. And then they took the lead. I'm like, they're just showing that, like the last game they played when they beat the Orioles 14-9, they kicked their butt, but then they come back and have a comeback win like that. That shows they can win kind of any way.
Yeah, it's great to see.
It is. Final question. The Red Sox play 7 games before our next recording. So they play doubleheader Wednesday, game on Thursday, and then the 4-game series with Chicago Friday through Monday.
Yeah.
So the Red Sox are currently 7-3. What will their record be coming into the next recording?
Oh, math is not my strong suit. Give me a second.
I'd be happy with 11-6. So going 4-3, going above 500.
That's exactly the same record I had, 11-6.
Yeah.
Going into it.
No, that checks out. Yep. That's because I have like I just said earlier, split in the split tomorrow, even if they lose that Thursday game, and then taking some against Chicago and Toronto. Yeah, that sounds all right. I'm gonna copy you guys.
All right, so the Legends Lingo podcast is coming out with a statement. The Red Sox, by the time of our next recording, will be 11-6. Put it down, book it. If it's legal to bet in your state, if you're listening to this, bet it. Put it in now. Make some free money. Hopefully, gamble responsibly. But anyways, any other final thoughts before we head out for the night?
No, thank you.
I just got to thank Zach. I mean, there is no other explanation of the turnaround other than Zach telling them how to score runs with his video. So that's all I gotta say.
Nope. Okay, that's where we're gonna have to edit that out because Zach's ego cannot get any more inflated after that. But no, Zach's a great kid. Shout out to Zach. He's awesome. He's done great work with us on Couch Guy Sports and everything else he's done. So shout out to Zach for everything he's done. But again, couchguysports.com. Go check out everything. You heard it in the beginning: blogs, podcasts, yada yada, all that good stuff. A&B Burgers, go down, get a burger, watch the game on 70-inch TV. If you're going to go just for entertainment value, go in there, grab something good to eat, and just have a good time. That's what A&B Burgers is all about.
Yep, tell them Legends Lingo sent you.
Very true. Tell them that Legends Lingo sent you to have a good bite to eat. One programming note for next week. I am actually not going to be on next week. I'm going to be on vacation. First episode, I think, ever that I'm missing in Legends Lingo history.
First ever.
I know. That's so you do the quick math on that. I think that's over 2 years. First time in over 2 years, I'm not going to be on an episode, but I trust the two of you will be able to carry the load. And if you want to bring on a third co-host, feel free. Just don't bring on too big of a guest because I might be upset. But
Julian Edelman.
Yeah, Edelman for next week.
I hate the both of you, but and also rate and subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. Leave a rate, leave a subscription. It helps us. If nothing else, for all the crew here at Legends Lingo, Matty DeRozier and Tom Powder Cadmus, I'm your host, Alan Dehegan. Thank you for listening to episode 116. We'll see you next week for episode 117.
Yes, sir.